live here. All right, cool. Looks like we're live. All right, get rid of that. All right, we are live. So we got some people coming in. Hey, everybody. Ian here from LiveAquaria. Welcome, welcome. You'll notice a little bit of a change this week as I'm by myself here in Wisconsin, but there's a little bit of a story to that, which we'll get to shortly. So welcome. And we should be able to get started here pretty quick. So you got a few people coming in. Awesome. Hope everybody's having a great week. Looks like Dr. Nick is watching and he would like to join. All right, let's let him in. Okay. Coming through.
Okay.
Looks like it. There we are.
Whoa.
Hey, guys.
Can you hear us okay? Okay, it's
We
kind
can
of
hear
noisy
you. I can
in
hear
here. So talk loud so we can hear you.
I will. So I hope the show is going well for you both. I know this is day 2 of SuperZoo. So thank you guys for taking time out of your responsibilities there. I've been to shows before, like SuperZoo. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. So I really appreciate you guys giving us your time as well as behind the scenes. So just to give everybody kind of a heads up of what we're talking about, I put a little bit of description in the post today, but we're actually doing live Q&A in kind of a different manner. We're going to be answering questions at the first half. And then the second half, Dr. Nick and Patrick, who are in Las Vegas, Nevada, attending SuperZoo 2022, are going to be giving us behind the scenes to show you guys what's going on at SuperZoo and some of the cool stuff going on there. SuperZoo is a really cool pet industry convention where it's primarily businesses and other companies get together to build partnerships and supply chains and things like that. So there's a lot of cool stuff that happens there, a lot of cool new products that are showcased. And Dr. Nick and Patrick are there helping to showcase the LiveAquaria brand. So thank you again both so much for joining. Hope you can hear me okay. All right, cool. All right, like I said, we'll start off the stream this week with the questions, and then we'll go to a little bit behind the scenes that Dr. Nick and Patrick are going to take over. So without further ado, I will go ahead and take the first question here on my list for today, which has to do with tap water. So Justin asks, my tap water comes out at 86 degrees Fahrenheit in South Louisiana. My tanks are usually kept at 80 degrees Fahrenheit. How do I cool it off so as not to shock or stress them? So he's looking for best ways to reduce temperature without causing stress on his aquatic life.
The best way is if your house is obviously should be cooler than that. So you can have a reservoir of water. You can use 5-gallon water bottles or some jugs of water that you will fill with your tap water and then just have sitting in your house somewhere out of the way, out of sight, where it'll cool down to your house temperature. Then when you do your water changes, use that jug of water and set the water directly from the tank. I know in my case, in the winter time, I had a problem with colder water, and I would take gallon jugs of water and put them down in the basement by the furnace where the water would warm up, so that in the winter time I would have warm water I could do aquarium water changes with. So same thing in the summer. If you have a cooler part of your house, put some jugs of water in there, because if you're doing a water change, not filling up the whole tank, you're doing maybe a 10 or 20% water change. You don't need that much water that you just have stored in your house so it gets to room temperature. What other options do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I find that's always the best option anyways, is to always let your water sit out the night before. That way any gas it can exchange, and granted, your room temperature is probably cooler than 86 degrees, so the water will cool down naturally. So, or like Dr. Nick said, if your tank is
Awesome.
cooler because of a chiller or whatnot, you may want to try to find a cooler spot in your house, whether it be below ground.
Oh, below ground. Yeah, that's actually a great idea.
Awesome.
Depending on where you live and all, you could have either in the basement maybe cooler, or it could have in the ground tank that would keep it about 50-60 degrees if you really need to cool it off for that, and use geothermal or geo cooling.
All right. So good. Sounds good. Sounds like prior proper planning, thinking about a little ahead of time is good. Reducing temperature should be more of a gradual than a quick fix too. So great. So just as a question, or I guess a point to you guys, I guess when you guys are taking turns, I know because it's hard to fit both of you in frame, probably be good for you guys to kind of like point the camera at one another so you can see you as we're talking. Otherwise,
I got a new key.
I got like parts of that.
No, I'm like, I can't see what I'm doing.
Oh, okay.
So.
Perfect. Right there. Okay.
Oh, sorry. We got Kelly there helping us.
Okay, talk loud. Can you still hear us? Okay.
Yep. All right. So the next question comes from Asai Karan. Sai asks, he's going on vacation for 2 months. He's wondering, or they're wondering, how do I keep the fish safe and healthy? So that's kind of a tough one, but maybe there's some good suggestions you guys have.
Another Q&A at great length. You can't keep your fish alone for 2 months. A weekend, maybe 2 days. 2 months, they're gonna need some care. And the best option would be either hire an aquarium maintenance service to come in, once a week, maybe or twice a week. Get a neighbor or friend who already has aquariums. Maybe your local aquarium club, somebody there that could come in. But you're going to need somebody to maintain the fish. Even if they don't come every day to feed them, they could come every other day. You can use some vacation feeders for several days. But that aquarium is going to need some maintenance during a 2-month period. So you're going to need some experienced assistance for that. Talking to someone at your local fish store, an aquarium club, a servicing club, or if you have friends that have aquariums, get them involved. And if you go, we'll have to do an archive of dates on these questions so we can tell them to go back and watch the old video, because we talked at length about this before.
Yeah. Well, and that's actually a really good point you bring that up, because as a reminder to everyone watching this stream and watching it either live now or after the fact, we actually are loading all of these to YouTube separately too, with chapters to the questions. So you're welcome to go back to our YouTube channel also, where we have all of those questions timestamps. So you can jump straight to the questions. You should be able to also search our channel list on YouTube. So just go over to YouTube and search for LiveAquaria. You'll find our channel. And then you just search our video library. You should be able to find those questions there too. So it's another great way for you to find the questions and find answers to your question after the fact.
Without anybody seeing my hands.
We're making an adjustment.
No problem. Take the time, you guys. I know you guys are kind of in a unique situation there, so no worries.
Am I still on, you guys?
That good? Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, next question.
Okay, good. Yes. So we actually got this question, I think, 4 separate times over the last few weeks. So I'm just going to ask it once. Really, a lot of people are just wondering how to get rid of red slime algae.
Red slime algae.
Okay, so red slime algae, it's actually a bacteria. It used to be called blue-green algae, and they call it cyanobacteria now. So it's a photosynthetic bacteria that it's anaerobic. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but it produces a red slime that protects the anaerobic bacteria from oxygen, but it actually produces oxygen as a waste product. So going back in time, a few billion years ago, that's basically where all of the oxygen in the atmosphere came from. It's from cyanobacteria. It's one of the earliest life forms. So it's really an important thing, but we don't want it in aquariums. So since it's a bacteria, we treat it like a bacteria, not like an algae. So erythromycin is great for getting rid of it, but the only problem with erythromycin, it'll take away the good and the bad bacteria. So you got to make sure you monitor your water quality.
Yeah.
The beneficial bacteria in your tank too, so you got to keep an eye on water changes and whatnot. But phosphorus is its biggest food source.
So like algae, which we've talked about getting rid of algae, phosphate, nitrate, nitrite also will contribute to cyanobacteria growth. So you need to make sure you keep your water quality good. If you don't, usually you're testing for ammonia, nitrite, nitrate anyway. If you need a phosphate test kit or phosphate test strip, if you're seeing a lot of algae or cyanobacteria growing, get that. Test your water for phosphate. Test your tap water for phosphate, because it may be coming in from your tap water. If it's not in your tap water, water changes will help. If it's in your tap water, you'll need to get some phosphate removing resin for your filter, or add a phosphate removing chemical that precipitates out phosphate to lower the phosphate, which will reduce the growth. Gravel vacuuming, cleaning the growth. It grows pretty fast, so you kind of, one day you see a little bit, and the next day it's covering your tank bottom. So you need to gravel vacuum that out so you keep it from building up. But if it continuously rebuilds, it's a water quality problem. Make sure you're not overfeeding. Make sure you remove the ammonia, nitrite, nitrate, phosphate. And then, like Patrick said, you use erythromycin, 200 milligrams per 10 gallon. Monitor your biofilter so you're not killing your biofilter, or use bacteria starter to get your biofilter going again after you've used that.
When you use erythromycin, you
That's
gotta be
great.
careful too, because if you have a protein skimmer, it's going to overflow. So you make sure you turn that off.
And carbon. Take carbon out. Turn off your protein skimmer if you're using.
Even an air stone will cause it to bubble out of control.
And that's really great that you mentioned the, we had a question here. I mean, like I said, we had 4 different questions about the red slime bacteria. And one question was a little bit more in depth, though, kind of, I think what you guys did a really great job hinting at, which is like, well, if you back it out and it keeps coming back, what do you do? So it's really helpful to hear some of those additional steps as far as like taking care of the phosphate control, or, limiting the feeding and checking your tap water. So hopefully it helps out. There was a person named Fong that had also sent it along this question. So Fong, hopefully that helps you.
Sometimes targeting it too.
All right.
Sometimes it'll start growing in one little pocket. Try to make sure you jump on it right away, because if you start agitating it and moving it around the tank, your whole tank's going to be covered. So sometimes if you get on it right away, you can prevent the whole outbreak, because it will smother live rock, it will smother coral, it'll kill it. So make sure you want to jump on it right away.
Yeah, it's fresh water and
Great points.
salt water.
Great points. Thank you both. Jumping to the next question, this one comes from Randy, and Randy was curious about keeping rummy nose tetras with peacock cichlids.
Short answer is no. You're talking 2 different types of fish from 2 different parts of the world. You definitely should not keep them together. I mean, from a water quality point, they're not going to be happy one or the other. Keeping them together. And never mind, peacock cichlids like to eat small fish. So even an adult rummy nose tetra would probably get preyed upon.
All right. Let's see. This one's about algae. Oh, I guess another compatibility question. And Nancy was curious about putting a dwarf water frog with a male betta.
Dwarf frog.
Dwarf water
can do
frog.
that. I've seen that before. Dwarf frogs. Sometimes the betta can be a little picky at them, but it depends on the betta. Most of the time they're fine. Dwarf frogs are predators, but they eat littler things, not anything as big as a betta. So the frog will be fine with the betta as long as the betta doesn't pick on the frog. It'll work. And a lot of people do that, especially if you have like a 1 gallon, 2 gallon, 3 gallon aquarium and you want something more than just a betta in it. You can put a dwarf frog and a snail and maybe a Corydoras catfish.
Yeah, that sounds exactly like a tank I had, I think, about 4 years ago. And the actual addition of the frog was came from a colleague, which I hadn't thought of. I had a betta and a snail in there, and they added the frog, and it was actually quite fun to see kind of how the frog found its own space in there. And fortunately, I didn't have any issues with the male betta, interacting with the frog or anything else. So it was a really great addition. So good to hear that still worked out. So just as a quick reminder to everybody, all of these questions that I'm reading off today, these were submitted via our website. So if you go over to LiveAquaria.com, to our homepage and you scroll down a little bit, there is a beautiful image of a freshwater angelfish where you of a banner that you can click on. When you click on that banner, it'll lead you to a form where you can submit your question, and then we'll add it to our list that we're going through today. So the great thing about getting that question to us is obviously you can get it answered here live, as well as when it's republished. But you're also entered in a chance to win a $25 gift certificate to LiveAquaria. So highly recommend every week, however many times you like it, whatever questions you have, head on over to LiveAquaria, click on that banner, and submit your question. And yeah, good luck. So next question comes from a Brittany. Oh, this is actually about Cyano too. Never mind. Oh, bristleworms. Danny asks, how do you remove bristleworms and not letting them come back into your aquarium?
Bristleworms. So bristleworms are just a notorious pest in saltwater aquariums. I mean, they love live rock. They get in all the little nooks and crannies, and they're kind of like Aptasia. I mean, once you get them in the tank, they're really, really tricky and really stubborn to get them out. For every one you see, there's probably 50 you don't see. So they hitchhike in on live rock, any coral, anything like that. It's not uncommon. It's very common, actually. It's probably more common for it not to happen. But anyways,
More uncommon.
Yeah. But anyways, they're scavengers. I mean, they're for the most part they're harmless. They don't bother anybody, anything. I mean, they are venomous, so you got to be careful. You don't want to handle them. But they eat uneaten food, so a lot of times they can reach plague proportions if the homeowner, the hobbyist, is feeding them way too much. They'll get them everywhere. But there are little simple homemade traps that you can make, using a regular 20-ounce water bottle. You can cut or drill little holes in the side, bait the trap with food. You can put straws in the holes, and the bristleworms will climb up the straw and into the trap, and then you remove the trap, you remove the bristleworms, and you keep rebaiting until the numbers go down. They are nocturnal, so they tend to be more active at night. So putting the trap in at night, you probably get much better results than during the daytime. But cut back on the feeding, and you should see a reduced amount. I mean, there are some fish that eat them, but they're really, really good hiders. So I wouldn't really rely on the fish to put much of it into the tank.
Gravel vacuum when you see them and just kind of suck them out with a cyclone.
Yeah, and then you can remove the rocks too, one at a time, and you could always, soak the water in fresh water. That'll kill the worms. It will also kill any beneficial animals that are growing on it, so be careful of that too. But that's one way to remove some of them, or if you find one that's really, really large, because they'll get big. I mean, they'll get the size. I've seen some of them, they're about as thick as let's say your pinky finger. I mean, they get pretty big, like the size of an earthworm. And they're kind of scary looking. But if you find out where some of them are hiding, you can remove the rock and kill them that way by soaking them in fresh water. For the most part, cut back on feeding, and the numbers should be like that.
Awesome. Yeah, I was going to say, I think the biggest one I ever saw was like 22 or 23 inches or something like that.
I mean, they can really
that was pulled out of one of the show tanks here like a long time ago. Yeah, it's always kind of amazing like where they hide and how they hide. And I know you almost have to completely, if you really want to get rid of them. I think I've seen you do it yourself, Patrick. Having to tear down the whole tank is kind of the prescription, really.
Yeah, like
if
you
you
really
really want to
venomous.
get rid
So
of
if
them.
you're holding the rocks and you kind of get this tingly sensation, it's because of the venom from the bristleworms. Some people experience
Solid.
more pain or whatnot, but it's kind of uncomfortable.
All right, so this next question actually came from the live chat from Jason. So thank you, Jason. So Jason was actually one of the purchasers from our live dive sale on Monday. He bought the elongated, or 2 Mondays ago. Sorry, he bought the elongated Tang 2 Mondays ago. The one stealing the show. He's saying because he's such an active fish, his clownfish are not really coming out anymore. Will the other fish get used to it in more time? He wanted to check with you guys first before rearranging the tank. So he's got his elongated Tang. He's entered that into the aquarium, and now his clownfish are maybe a little unsure.
The fish is kind of scaring the other fish. Is that the gist of
I think so, yeah. It says his clownfish are not really coming out after adding in the elongated tang. So he's just looking for some advice before he rearranges the tank of if we think that other fish will get used to the elongated
Does he
tank.
say what size tank it is? Because, I mean, if he's confined to a smaller tank, then he's probably going to be pretty disruptive. So he may need a bigger tank.
He doesn't list the tank. Jason, if you're still watching, if you can list the tank, maybe that can help us. But yeah, no, generally speaking, I don't know if you guys know right offhand clownfish and elongated tangs. If maybe it's just the size of the tank. Oh, this is 125 right now.
Yeah, I would just maybe try to rearrange the decor so that there's enough swimming space so that the fish can go from one side to another uninterrupted. Because sometimes if tanks are really cluttered, it may make the middle of the tank really congested where all the other fish are.
Okay, great. So it sounds like he should be okay actually just starting with rearranging the tank to make sure that that swim length
sometimes just maybe moving all the decor towards the middle of the tank so that the fish can make a nice big loop or maybe a figure eight as it swims, because that tang likes to swim a lot. I mean, that size aquarium should last them quite a while, you know, being 6 foot long and everything.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we got another question from chat from a Brandon. He's thinking of breeding saltwater fish for fun and a unique challenge. Live food seems to add to the challenge, and there's always a great desire to have fish that eat flake, pellets, frozen, etc. He's wondering if we have any advice on breeding in general and on getting them to eat these types of foods.
So it's on breeding saltwater fish and eating certain kinds of.
So he's looking for breeding advice in breeding saltwater fish in general, on getting and on them getting them to eat these types of
breeding
food.
Saltwater fish.
Specifically
breeding
live
saltwater fish is becoming more commercially successful now. It's been tried for 40 years or more, and the problem that happened originally is you could get the fish to breed, they'd lay eggs, the eggs would hatch, and then the larvae would starve to death because we couldn't get them the right food to keep the larvae alive. Now the breeders are becoming more successful because we know what type of food they eat and the availability of it. So for example, through LiveAquaria, we're starting to culture algae of different sizes because, you know, there's some algae that's 2 microns in diameter, some that's 7, 8, 10 microns, some 12, 15, 18, some 20, and you have to have all of them to start the smallest size algae with the little larva, and then as the larvae get bigger, you switch to a larger size algae or phytoplankton or zooplankton and copepods. It's not the breeding that's hard, it's the raising the larva that's the key thing, and that is the food. And so what you'll need to do is research what foods are being given to the life stages of those fish you're trying to breed. And there's a lot of universities that are working with it. The Rising Tide Project, which is a nonprofit group promoting saltwater aquarium fish breeding to help the industry to reduce collection from the wild. We're working with them on that. University of Hawaii is working very successfully. University of Florida. So there's a number of universities out there doing this research on the larval. Rhode Island, Roger Williams University of Rhode Island, but all of these universities are growing their own algae and their own copepods to start feeding the larvae. So that's really the hard part right there, is getting the food source. And a lot of these, if you look through the literature, maybe through universities and things, you'll find the different, the iso, tetra, chloro, rhodo, different algae that are used for raising different life stages. Yep. So it's not easy, but it can be done. And commercially, these algae are becoming available, so you can buy cultures of the algae. So if you want to start doing it, but before you really get into it, you need to do a lot of research as to what you want to breed, what the larvae eat, where do you get that food, so that you'll be successful. That's kind of a short answer for a really big question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't add too much to that. I mean, that's everything.
Yeah.
Live food for the young, you know.
That's the key.
If It's the part that everybody couldn't figure out. Now
Live
they're
food.
getting there. Just they need to raise enough of it. They eat a lot.
Eat a lot.
Awesome. And I guess to speak a little bit more, I mean, we talked about this in previous live streams. You know, and Dr. Nick just alluded to it. We are working on our own live foods here for LiveAquaria, so definitely be on the lookout for that in the coming month. We've got 4 different flavors. We got the Isochrysis, Tetrasalmus, Nanochloropsis, and the Rhodomonas that we're working on. So those are coming very, very soon. So be on the lookout. Head on over to LiveAquaria and sign up for emails just to make sure that you don't miss out on any of these releases. But of course, if you follow us on social media, we'll be pushing it out there on social media too. To let you guys know that we have this new food alive. We've also got some additional sizes for frozen food that we're working on, which we'll be releasing shortly, as well as some seaweed products. So we're really excited about what's coming here very, very shortly for you guys in the hobby. So, well, I think that pretty much covers all the questions we have for today. So if you guys want to go ahead and take over. We're at about the 30-minute mark, so we're at 126.
I did want to say there was one question about finding an aquarium maintenance service, which might be helpful for the person going on a 2-month vacation. If you go into Google and do aquarium maintenance service near me, it will find, and you have to activate your location. It will find aquarium maintenance service companies near you that you can contact for when you're going on vacation. You can also go to your local fish store. As I mentioned, they might have an aquarium service maintenance company as well. And one thing I wanted to plug. Okay, we have a LiveAquaria business partner program. So if you're an aquarium store, aquarium club, tropical fish club, aquarium maintenance company, we have a program where you can buy the LiveAquaria products at a discount. So that would be very handy. You can go to the liveaquaria.com website. There's a link on there for the business partner program. Click on that, and then you'll get more information on that.
Yeah, that's a great call out. I'll actually put a link in the chat too, just to make it really easy for everybody. So guys, check out the live chat. I'll be adding that in there shortly. So you guys can, if you're interested in our business partner program, getting those exclusive discounts.
For our viewers, if you have time to hang on, I'm going to switch the camera here, and we have. Oh, can I do that? I don't know if I can switch it. Oh yeah, right there. So Kelly was our videographer today. She can't wave her arms anymore. But thank you, Kelly, for your help. And here is the LiveAquaria booth at the SuperZoo show. So we got Kelly and Patrick here manning the booth, talking to people. The people at the SuperZoo show, those are retail pet stores, aquarium maintenance companies, coming to look at new products that are available from the different suppliers like LiveAquaria. So this is huge. I mean, you're only looking at a tiny portion of this right now. This is a huge, huge showroom full of all kinds of pet businesses, retailers. Here is the LiveAquaria. Well, the booth is right there. And then here is the aquariums that are set up, displaying some of the LiveAquaria fish, the logs, the corals. All of these things are available through LiveAquaria. So we got some great displays here. There's also, you can hear birds in the background. There's birds, fish, reptiles, dogs, and cats. There's some crazy groomed dogs walking around here that are like, and there's a fish walking over there. I don't know if you can see him. Wait, I got to get in the background there. You can actually see there's a fish walking the aisle right in the center there. You just see the back of his head. There's a fish. You just never know what you're going to see here. Here's the Tropical Fish International booth, Sam and Matt. And here's the V2O Foods, Chris. Here's some really great reptiles. So I'll just keep showing if you have, but otherwise I'm going to show you some of the cool stuff that's available here. A couple of snakes just hanging out. Little gecko there hanging out. Some Halloween crabs looking for October. Some snakes. Tegus. I think there's some turtles over here. Yeah, I got some turtles going on. So just everything in the pet industry, products, supplies, food, fish. Here's some more aquariums set up. Lots of guppies.
That's great. And you guys showed up, I think, last Sunday, just this past Sunday.
Yeah, we got
start
here
setting
Sunday.
up, or is
we
it Monday?
set up Sunday the aquariums, and then Monday put the fish in the aquariums, and then we've been doing water changes on them, and because we don't have a lot of biological filters set up here because it's just a brand new tank set up. So we've been doing water changes daily and keeping an eye on them. But this has been actually one of the stars of the show right here. Where are you? This little guy. He's yeah, and he's just like a little puppy. He comes and looks at the people and is very interactive.
Always a fan favorite. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Liza, I see your question there. So they're currently in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're at SuperZoo 2022. That's where it's held every year. So yeah, they're at the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino, I believe. We're in their convention hall. That's where SuperZoo is heading now. So if you're actually interested in some information on SuperZoo, it's primarily business to business. But head on over to their, you can Google for SuperZoo and you'll find their website. And what Dr. Nick is showing us is essentially some of the aquatic life that LiveAquaria and its sister company is showcasing at the booth for other retailers and vendors and businesses that are exhibiting and attending the show. So we got a lot of great stuff there, and a lot of hard work and effort put in by Patrick and Dr. Nick and Kelly here and other team members to get this set up. I mean, you guys have, 16 feet of aquarium?
Oh, I'm sorry. What
right?
was the last part?
Oh, I was going to say, I was just commenting on the tremendous amount of effort that is put in, because I went into this last year, and I was just, tipping my hat to you guys. It's a tremendous amount of effort, and I think you guys had to set up 16 feet of aquariums.
And you got to see. Can we
look at
the
dog?
Your dog? Okay, yeah, we're live on Facebook here. So, okay.
Look at that haircut.
You got
That's
just
awesome.
a little bit of everything here at SuperZoo show. And look at the little pink one right there.
Care Bear.
Oh, okay. All right, see, it's a Care Bear. Okay, thank you. All right. So fish are great, but you don't see this every day. Okay, well, I think that about wraps it up. Anything else we need?
No, I really wanted to thank you and Patrick and Kelly, obviously, and the rest of the crew there who are exhibiting for LiveAquaria and putting in all this hard work. And, thanks for giving us a sneak peek in your time and, answering some questions today. I think it's always fun to connect with you and obviously Patrick too. And it's cool to see this behind the scenes. So I think we're good. Thank you, Dr. Nick, and thank you, Patrick. And also thank you to everyone who joined the live stream today and provided any questions. Thank you to everyone who sent their question in. Again, as a reminder, head on over to liveaquaria.com, go to the homepage and scroll down. There's a banner to submit your question. And then that enters you in for a chance to win a $25 gift certificate to LiveAquaria. So on behalf of myself, Dr. Nick, and Patrick, and the rest of the LiveAquaria team, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Don't forget to join our live dive sale at 7:30 p.m. CST on Monday, where we'll be having exclusive WYSIWYG Divers Den aquatic life deals at discounted prices with free shipping and giveaways. So again, thank you all.
We'll see you next week, or 2 weeks. 2 weeks. All right.
2 weeks, yep.
Thanks, Ian.
All right, bye, everyone.